All right. So I hope everyone has had a fantastic weekend already. The activities, all of the planning that went into this weekend actually could be even its own kind of case study as we kind of talk through today's presentation. Create an event and they will come, or will they, right? So the International Weekend is something that we here in New Hampshire and all throughout New England and Eastern Canada, we participate in these activities every year. I was just getting some memories on my Facebook feed of what we did last year when we were down in Connecticut. So this is an event that we all look forward to every single year. Unfortunately, COVID happened, so we had to really make a plan B, and we're going to talk a little bit about plan B during today's presentation. But really, this is an opportunity for all of us to come together, learn a lot of new things this weekend, and I hope you're enjoying it. So again, today's presentation is create an event and they will come, or will they? And this is, my name is Stacy DeRozier. I'm a past matron of Pilgrim Chapter number 55 in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm also very involved with our youth organizations, and a lot of what you're going to see here is some of the things that I've experienced over the years, some of the things I've experienced with our girls in Rainbow, as they've developed their projects, and hopefully you'll take away some things or some new points or some new ways to kind of think about your event planning as you move forward, especially when kind of thinking about a plan B. So there is this concept, if you build it, they will come. It was first discussed in the movie Field of Dreams back in 1989. And if you remember this movie, they thought that if they built a baseball diamond in the middle of this field, that all of these people would come. And during the movie, you see a lot of work and challenges that were put forth between all of the actors. But in the end, they do come. They eventually do. And what we're going to talk about today is that planning an event is not just one single thing. It's not easy. There's a lot of planning, a lot of activity that goes into it to truly get people to attend and to get value out of your program. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about marketing, why it's important. Then we're going to put all of those pieces together, the purpose, the planning, the promotion, the actual event execution, which in actuality, if you've done all of those other items before that, the execution can go off very well. And then planning for the unexpected. Let's talk about COVID. What is that doing to the way that we're planning our events? And then part of that follow-up and debriefing with your team and making sure that you can produce an even better event next time. And then we'll be opening it up officially for Q&A, but certainly throughout this presentation, we have the ability to do chat, ask me any questions that you have there. Again, my assistant is going to help me out, answer some of those questions, and then she'll present those to me during today's presentation. We'll take some time to answer any of your questions. So let's start off. What is marketing? It's the process of creating, communicating, and delivering unique messages and offerings that have value for a customer or a person in general. So let's break that down into a little bit more specifics. So it's a process. Again, what I just mentioned is that just having an event is not a single point of time in itself. There's a whole process, and we're going to talk about what that process is in order to make your event successful. And so you really need to understand that it's not once, but it's length of time. And the team here that's been creating this fantastic international weekend for you has been doing this for many, many months and really making sure that you receive value out of this weekend. So the next section is creating, communicating, and delivering unique messages and offerings. So just by saying, okay, we're going to have a ham and bean dinner, is that unique? Is the way that you're saying that interesting? So when you're looking at an event, you really want to make sure that you're creating interesting messages, that you're communicating them in ways and delivering them in ways that people are going to notice them, right? If no one's noticing any of your communications about your like ham and bean dinner, then why are they going to want to actually attend your activity? And that brings you to the last point, value. So does your program provide value for the people that are attending in some way, shape, or form? You need to understand what that value is that you're trying to get out of your program. So why is marketing important? Well, from an Eastern Star perspective, we're one of the best kept secrets. We don't do enough marketing to talk about our order and talk about all of the various activities that we're doing on a regular basis. So regardless if it's an event or anything else, we need to make sure that that we are marketing ourselves at every possible means. And why? Number one, keep your existing and prospective members engaged. If they don't know of anything going on with your chapter and it's just a meeting, they're not going to keep engaged. You need to be doing programs and marketing yourself and your activities so that everyone stays engaged. And third, to really let our communities know about all the fantastic work that each and every one of our chapters are doing. This is going to improve your community support, so people are excited about including Eastern Star into their overall community activities. And you're going to potentially gain members. Again, if no one knows who Eastern Star is and no one knows about the great works that we're doing on a daily basis, no one will continue to join. So it's very, very important. But that marketing must reach all the people that you can possibly get. So I've been in marketing as a profession for over 20 years. And one of the things that we talk about regularly is what the TAM is, or the total addressable market. What that means is how many people can we possibly reach? And we take a certain percentage of that to determine how much our revenue perceptions are going to be. How much revenue can we possibly gain? Here within our organization, we need to look at all the different places that we could actually gain new members, gain support for our various activities. So we need to be marketing in multiple places to reach the most amount of people. And that's online, that's print, like calendars, invitations, newsletters. And then also personal communications. So often, so many of our members are left out because they're not online all the time. Maybe they don't get a newspaper or your newsletter. Reach out to them individually. It gives them that much more attention and more likely that they're going to attend your activity. And of course, ensure that you have enough time to generate interest. Calendars fill up very, very fast, maybe not as fast during these COVID times, but calendars are filling up fast, and you need to ensure your events are number one on their list. And you get number one on their list by your potential attendees knowing that the activity is happening through all of your marketing and making sure that there's value in each of the programs that you're doing. And then, of course, make your marketing efforts shareable. Maybe they know also, maybe the people that you're reaching also know other people that maybe you have no way of reaching. Make sure that they are able to share that with family, friends, and additional members of your community. So now we're going to put all the pieces together of planning a program. So step one, what is the purpose of the event? And I thought it was fantastic. Our previous speaker that you all just heard talks about purpose makes us stronger, right? And so if you have a strong purpose for your program that you want to put out, your campaign that you want to put out, you are actually going to drive more activity. The planning will be easier if you have a strong understanding of what that purpose is. Like I said, establishing a purpose drives a plan. So during today's presentation, we're actually going to establish a purpose. I'm going to show that on the screen here in just a moment. And that purpose is really going to drive us through all of the rest of the planning examples that we have, right? And it's something I think that many of you have worked on in the past. So our example is going to be supporting a local food pantry. You know, in today's COVID times, the food pantries are being inundated with requests. A lot of people are in need right now. And so this is a fantastic way to support your community and support the people within your community and helping them meet their basic needs. So our overall purpose is supporting the local food pantry. Now, We get into what is the event? What are we going to do around that purpose to move our program forward? So first of all, you need to kind of think through some things. You want to do an event. You want to support your purpose, that purpose of supporting your local food pantry. So what is the event? Maybe you have some ideas, but you need to consider, is it unique? Is it going to get people interested in wanting to go to that event or participate in your program? Do you have likely participants? So perhaps your focused level, your main group of participants are those people within your own chapter. If your event is going to be something like rock climbing, however, most of your members of your chapter and people within their families have no desire to go rock climbing, maybe you need to kind of rethink what that event is, because you're looking to make sure that you have a base level of participants likely coming from your chapter, and then how many other people can we really bring into that program as well. And next, can you quickly switch to a plan B if needed? In today's everything going on, you need to have a plan B. Things could go crazy right at the last minute, and you need to be able to very quickly change on a dime if needed. And so you need to start planning for that as well. And then you also need to plan all of the logistics, the expenses, the promotions, etc. So let's take a look at our example. So supporting the local food pantry is our purpose. So you have some standard options. Maybe it's doing a spaghetti dinner. That's going to drive some funds for the food pantry. The food pantries can't get all of the needs, all of their resources met just by what people are donating. They also probably need to go out and purchase some of those items as well. So funds are always a great idea. Or maybe you want to do a food drive. This drives the actual food donations that the food pantry could use in their day-to-day operations. Maybe you provide volunteers to stock the shelves, and that supports the activity of the food pantry and allows your members to get a little bit more involved in that community source. However, maybe you look at more of a unique option. Remember that we want to make our programs unique. So maybe what you do is you invite a speaker from the food pantry to your meeting to talk about the activities and needs. What this really does is it gets all of your members in your chapter a little bit more on the same page as you are, right? So you had a purpose, you understood, you had a desire to really help out your local food pantry. But maybe members in your group don't have a real understanding of all the needs that a food pantry really meets within the community. So that speaker could come in, talk about that. It kind of pulls on everyone's heartstrings to really figure out ways that they also can support their local food pantry. And then maybe you do a 1-month food drive for essential items that the food pantry needs. Maybe you extend it to all of the members of your Masonic family that meet in your lodge building, and maybe even a little bit beyond that. One of the things we do to support our food pantry at our church is we have something called the Hunger Games. And what we do is we actually have 2 huge shopping baskets in the foyer as you're kind of coming into the church. And one says adults and one says kids. And the adults try to donate more food than the kids and vice versa. And whoever wins at the end of the month food drive gets to win a prize. And sometimes it's the kids will get to smash cream pies in the adults' faces or vice versa, or they have a big ice cream party or something like that, just to drive some more fun and excitement and just get a little bit more activity out of your group. Maybe we do something like a spaghetti dinner. It's family. You can invite families. You can invite community from outside of your lodge to drive the kind of the goal of the spaghetti dinner is really to drive the funds for the food pantry. So you're not just relying on individuals within your organization. So you're driving a whole program there and will receive funds to support your food pantry later. And then, of course, volunteers. They can go into the food pantry to stock the shelves, distribute the food to those in need. Now, what the difference is between the standard options that I gave you and more of this unique option, all of the various different components are there. But what we talked about in the unique option is more of a longer campaign. And what this does is it allows every member within your organization to participate, right? It allows you to develop new leaders within your organization because not one person can do all of these activities together, right? So now maybe you talk about, this person's going to be in charge of the food drive. Maybe these couple people are going to be in charge of the dinner. Maybe these people are going to be in charge of the volunteer activities that go on. Now you're getting a lot more people involved. And because they're involved, they're going to look for more people to support them and make sure that they support those activities. So now you have a lot more people focused on the program, and you're going to drive more and more engagement within your members and prospective members and the community. So let's look, there's lots of ways to kind of manage your project for your event, a quick spreadsheet or a Google sheet that you kind of start outlining what are the various different components, who's going to lead it, what week do these various activities need to happen. So one of the things, and we'll talk about it on the next page, is really keeping everyone on target, right? So meeting regularly with the project leads. Zoom meetings work great, doesn't take anyone out of their house. You can very quickly get the activities moving along. Here with the International Weekend team, we met every Saturday morning just to make sure all of the activities that were leading up to this weekend's event were on track and that everyone had an opportunity to share any concerns, share updates, etc. And what I just showed you is that project spreadsheet just to keep everyone on task. Create it in a Google Doc if possible, if your team knows how to use the Google Docs. And that way everyone can be updating it as needed. So when you get to your Saturday morning quick meeting, everything's updated and we can kind of just review it as needed. Makes those quick meetings even quicker and allows everybody to stay on target. But one thing that wasn't in that previous plan is the plan B. And again, we're going to be talking a little bit about that plan B here in just a few more slides, but don't assume everything is going to go as planned. Always have a plan for your plan B so that you can quickly change if needed. So now 3. So what's your promotion plan? So in the previous slides, we've talked about making sure you have a very strong purpose. We've planned our event well, but promotion needs to now be part of that plan. And so that all of your activities can go off without a hitch and that you will have many people engaged in your programs. So let's talk about programs, and the options that you have to promote it are endless, right? We talked a little bit about that before, but there's ways that the International Weekend team got out to all of you. We had it on social media. We had it in newsletters. We had it by word of mouth. We had letters going out. There are lots of things you need to consider when you're talking about your promotions. So here are some standard options that you can use every day. So maybe you have a website. Maybe you have a website for your chapter. Maybe you have a website for your grand chapter that you can utilize to promote your activity. Social media is becoming so big and so much a definite part of what you need to include as part of your overall promotion options. We're going to talk a little bit more specifically about social media here in another slide. Community flyers, there's also community social media sites as well, but where are the options to get out into your community? Whether it's like literally hanging up a flyer at the local library or city hall or whatnot, there's ways that you need to find to get out into your community about any of your programs. Newspapers as well. I know a lot of newspapers are not being as actively read as much anymore, but it is still an option to do both pre-promotion as well as after the event promotion. Depending upon the media that you're using, the TV, radio, those might be options to you as well. Here in New Hampshire, we have a fantastic resource with one of our majority members for Rainbow, that she works at one of the big local radio stations, and she's been able to kind of get us various different spots on promoting Rainbow throughout the state. So look for maybe members of your community have access to TV and radio options, that you can use those as well. And then, of course, there's chapter bulletins. Make sure your members are engaged and seeing all of the fantastic programs that are coming up. In the chat screen, if you want to, if you have any other ideas, throw those in there, because I'm sure a lot of other people would love to hear some additional options that maybe you're using in your community as well. But now we have all of these options ahead of us, or in front of us. What do we pick and why? So you need to understand who are you trying to reach with your programs, right? Depending upon who you're trying to reach, the demographic, the type of person that you're trying to reach will also dictate which options you're going to use, because you'll understand which ways they normally receive messages that will help you identify how to move forward. How do people get their news? If you're in certain demographics, some people only receive their news on social media. Maybe some other demographics only receive it, they look in a newspaper or they look for a chapter bulletin, for instance. What are your time considerations? Right? So if we go back to that plan that we have, we need to look at, okay, we have a speaker coming in. You're probably going to want to schedule that speaker about a month ahead of time so that you can promote that out to your members through the chapter bulletins and through social media and maybe your chapter website, to encourage them to make sure that they come to that meeting to hear a little bit more about the food pantry from that presenter. Maybe you're going to be doing most of your promotions on social media. Well, those take very little time. Those can be up very, very quickly. But a newspaper, maybe it's at least a week in advance. You're going to have to do a press release or a news item article, for instance, out to the newspaper or to the radio or the TV station to help them have time to actually communicate your program. Then you need to look at the frequency of your promotions. How frequently do you need to promote? And we're going to talk a little bit about marketing hype in just a moment. It's something that a lot of people are using to really drive the constant awareness of their programs moving forward. I'm going to talk a little bit about different ways you can do that. Certainly price comes into what those promotions are. Like I said, we have a great resource in New Hampshire Rainbow, who's able to kind of get us into some free spots within radio, but maybe there's a cost to some of that. Maybe there's a cost to put in an ad in your newspaper or any of your community, flyers or magazines. So you need to consider the pros and cons of actually paying for some of those various different types of promotional opportunities, depending upon what your purpose is and what you're trying to get out of your overall programs. And then you need to look at what options are available. Maybe your chapter actually doesn't have a website, so you would have to kind of cross that off the list. But how could you use other websites to support the promotion of your event? So you really need to look at all of the options in front of you and lay them out and put them as part of the plan, and the plan that we talked about in the previous section. But above all, look professional. You don't want to come across that maybe you had a first grader kind of draw out something on a flyer and you posted it. You really want to look professional. There's some fantastic ways to look professional very, very easily. So one of the ways, we're going to talk a little bit about social media first, and then we're going to go through some of the tools that you can use to make that professional appearance. So social media, kind of the three key ones that a lot of people are on, and that you will get the most information from, or that you'll get the most response from, are these three. So there's Facebook, there's Instagram, and Twitter. So Facebook, if you don't already have a Facebook page for your chapter, I would definitely create that. And you'll want to create one of the public facing group pages. It's also great to have a group page where you can communicate regularly with your internal members, but a publicly facing Facebook page will be a great resource, especially if you don't have a website. So this can be one way that people can learn about your organization and the various different programs and events that you have going on. Beyond just that page, you can create an event page. So an event, we actually had an event page around International Weekend. It allows you to constantly hype up what's going on in your program. And people can respond, they can ask questions, and they can say if they're going to be coming or not, or if they're interested. Great way to get further engagement specifically on your programs. And you can schedule posts within Facebook. So say you realize you have a very busy week coming up, but you know you want to continue that marketing hype that we're going to talk about here in a moment. You can actually schedule posts in Facebook. So you can take a half hour out of your day here, tomorrow on Sunday, and you go through and schedule out 5 or so different posts that will all go at different times. That way you're getting all of that marketing hype, you're continuing to market your event, but it's not taking up all of your time. Instagram is another social media platform. It is connected to Facebook, so you can actually post on Instagram and actually slide it over to Facebook. The focus, though, around Instagram is more going to be focused around pictures. So this is a great social media outlet that is going to be exceptionally helpful during your event and after your event. So you're kind of categorizing some of how you're going to use some of these social media. And then Twitter, this is where you're going to provide short messages during your events. It's very timely, it's very quick. It's only a certain amount of characters. Provide in maybe a picture there as well, get a little bit more attention to really drive your overall program forward. But this is quick hitting messages. So if you look at your plan from a social media perspective, Facebook is going to be fantastic. It's going to give you a longer range of activities that you can use to really promote your program forward. You're going to want to use Instagram, really, especially during the event and after the event. And then Twitter is a great one to use during the event and be making comments like, if we were on Twitter for this particular weekend, we could be tweeting various different messages or different comments or things like that, just to kind of keep up the excitement about what's going on with this weekend's activities. And one of the things, and I'll make sure that you all know this, so make sure you create a hashtag and tag it to all the posts around social media. This is going to kind of bring all of those components together. The hashtag for this weekend is INTL for International Weekend 2020. So you're going to start to see, if you go on social media, on especially Facebook, I know a lot of our members are using Facebook this weekend. They're tagging pictures and comments and things like that with hashtag INTL for International Weekend 2020. And so all of those, if you search on that hashtag, you're going to see a whole bunch of different posts come up on that. So I encourage you that over the course of this weekend to use that hashtag, and so that we can get more and more interest out of people as they're looking onto your social media posts or anyone else. And as I mentioned, my daughter at the beginning, is actually the marketing liaison for New Hampshire Rainbow. And one of the things they did actually last week was they did a social media training, really geared towards our adult advisors and our adult supporters. And they talked a lot about all the various different components of social media and how to use them, when to use them. And that YouTube post is here, and you can copy that down. We'll also put it in the comments so that you can go to that as well. It's hosted on the New Hampshire Rainbow page, but I thought it was a fantastic presentation because it really went through each of these different types and when to use them. And they had some great thoughts and tips and tricks on posting. So I've talked a little bit about this whole momentum, keeping the momentum going with marketing hype. And one of the cool ways to do this is instead of just posting like, remember, we're having a spaghetti dinner, but to do it with memes or different fun activities, fun pictures that will keep people going and kind of laughing and kind of being, the desire to kind of want to share it as well with maybe their on social media specifically with all of their followers and their contacts. So I thought these were fun. I actually just found these on the internet. Brace yourself, the spaghetti dinner is coming, 424. And then tell me more about this canned food drive thing. And you can recognize the individuals that are in these memes, makes it funny, makes it fun. And if you have a different kind of set of hype, if you will, kind of going through maybe the month-long canned food drive, it'll just get people rethinking about the program, remembering about the program, so that the next time they're maybe at the lodge, they can remember to drop off a few canned items, etc. So there's lots of ways to keep this program going and have fun at it, right? So some of the marketing resources, if you remember, I said, make sure that everything that you're doing is professional. So one of the, or a couple of the options that I use on a frequent basis is a group called Canva. You can go up to their website. It's actually a free service, but you can actually pay for their premium services as well. And you can learn how to make an Instagram post. There's Facebook posts, there's flyers, posters, lots of different things that you can make here. They already have templates up. So literally you might just need to be changing out a date or changing some of the wording. And you have a very professionally developed banner or flyer, etc., to make things easier. Memes may be new to you, they might not be, but this is a great place, imgflip.com. It's an easy way to create some of those memes, and I'll actually show you some screenshots of how easy some of these resources are here in just a second. But overall, be professional, and these are fantastic ways to go out and do it yourself. You don't need to hire a graphic designer unless you already have one as a member of your organization. Great way to get them involved. So this is just a screenshot of Canva. Again, you can put in a brand so that you can always have things on brand to Eastern Star. You can put up your logo. You can, change out your logo or create some content around your logo that you can use on a frequent basis. You can make Instagram posts and stories and flyers, all of it extremely easy to do throughout this solution, and it's very understandable and very user-friendly. The meme generator that I mentioned is super fun. You just go onto their website, you can pick an image that you think would be funny, and you can actually write in the text, and then quickly download it, and then you've made a meme. So it takes you less than a minute to create one of those memes to continue in your marketing hype and having some fun with your programs. This is also a great way to get in the activity of some of your younger members, maybe even with some of your youth organizations to assist you. I'm sure they would love to assist you in some of this marketing activity. So let's go back to our example. So again, the purpose was to support our local food pantry, right? So we are going to be having a speaker come to our event. So what are some of the things we want to do? What are some of the promotional vehicles around that? Well, there's your chapter bulletin. Maybe there's an email announcement out to your members. Maybe there's a Facebook group page that you have available to you. Again, that's more of the internal Facebook. so that you can alert everybody that this is coming. Maybe keep reminding them that the meeting is coming up and that there will be a speaker from the local food pantry coming and talking about a kickoff of our new event or our new program that we're going to be doing within our communities. Then we go on to the food drive. So again, do everything you just had here, the chapter bulletins, the emails, the Facebook group page, and then also maybe do some flyers that you can post around the lodge building to encourage people that are in the lodge building that, hey, by the way, we're having that food drive and the boxes are right there. Drop in, whatever types of food that you're requesting. Make sure you have a shareable event on Facebook so that you can encourage participation in this program. And then do some of those weekly posts with the latest updates. So maybe you have on week 1, you have those empty boxes and you talk about, your goals for the event. Maybe the next week you show that there's been some food put into the boxes. Maybe you are running that contest, like I mentioned towards the beginning, where you have like adults versus kids or something like that. Maybe you give them the latest updates on who's winning, kind of getting everybody's competitive spirits up. And you continue on with that throughout your program to really continuously drive momentum on that program. The spaghetti dinner, again, doing all of those above activities, plus going out into your community, because this is a great way to get your community involved. Here in my hometown, we have a lot of community pages on social media that I can post to get inclusion in our activities. There's the newspapers. There's a lot of different ways to get out into your community, let them know that we're having that spaghetti dinner. And then volunteer. Again, all of the posts above, but mainly focused on your members, right? So you're going to be drawing from your members, maybe their extended family, maybe some friends, but you're really focusing on those members. So you're going to be going towards programs or, social media or flyers or bulletins or emails that are going to be mainly focused around your members. And these promotions should all be in your project plan, right? So you want to make sure that you clearly understand who's in charge of doing all of these promotions and making sure that you are able to deliver these promotions in that timely manner. So you don't want to leave everything up to the last minute. You really want to make sure that everything is well planned out in case you need to kind of go to a plan B. So now we have step 4, the real event day. Now, keep in mind, if you have a clear purpose and you've done a great plan and you have really promoted it as much as you possibly can, the event day should actually be quite simple. So pictures, pictures, pictures. Really, you want to document that day. Get excitement. Maybe you're continuing to post out on social media like Instagram or Twitter. You want to constantly get people excited about your program and what's going on. But what do you need to remember while you're there the day of the event? Well, make sure that all the details are in order the day before. Have that final group meeting the day before. We had that on Thursday night, made sure run through every possible thing and identified where maybe things will go wrong. And we adjusted our plans and made sure we had at least some ways to have a plan B in case anything does go wrong. So bringing into the plan B. As I mentioned on that other slide, have an official photographer on hand to document the event. You can't expect, maybe if it's the spaghetti dinner, that the people cooking in the kitchen are going to be the same people that are going to be able to be documenting and talking to people and photographing people and keeping everybody excited and enthused out in the dining hall. You need to make sure you're involving as many people as possible into your event and to your event planning so that everything goes off well. And same thing with social media. Have one person really focused on social media, but encourage everyone to post. And this kind of goes back to that hashtag option as well. Really get a lot of people posting, because then these events become bigger, they become more exciting, and more people are interested in what you're going to do next. And then check in with your team throughout the event to make sure everything is going as planned. We've been having some great conversations behind the scenes with the International Weekend team, making sure that, are you ready? Is there anything I can help you with? You know, is there any questions in the help room, etc. Making sure everyone knows what's going on and everyone knows that they have some support behind them. So step 5, planning for the unexpected. Well, the unexpected is going to happen, right? We didn't see COVID coming. And we didn't, you know, I have a number of my customers or some of my partners at work. They're in ice storms down south. They're expecting hurricanes. There's things that can happen that we don't expect, right? So that's why we always need to plan for the unexpected. So, what to think about for that plan B? Well, determine when a plan B needs to take effect, right? There's weather, there's expected attendance, maybe there's community concerns like COVID-19. And will moving to a plan B be better for the event? You know, this weekend, we were faced early on with the possibility of going from our traditional in-person event that we've been doing for years and years and years. And we're like, oh, the only other plan is to do it online, but are people really going to go? Are people really going to come? And we thought about it for a while and said, hey, why not? Let's plan for that kind of plan B and really focus and really promote it. And you know what? I think this plan B of ours with this virtual weekend is fantastic, right? We not only got to go to experience this time together with our traditional participants from the New England states and from Eastern Canada, but we got to expand it to people in Australia and Bolivia and the West Coast of the US. Lots of excitement, and it's actually maybe even better than an in-person event, although I know we would love to be in person. But it's an opportunity to really think about Plan B in a different way that gets even more people excited about your program. But if you're going to go to a Plan B, or even if you're just going to plan for a Plan B in case, make sure you have a project plan that we talked about in the planning stages to really support your Plan B so that you're not having to kind of create it while in flight, right? So let's look at an example. Again, supporting that local food pantry. So maybe you couldn't have the meeting that you were expecting to have the speaker come to. There was a major, snowstorm, and now you had to close down your meeting. What could you do instead? You still want to make sure that that speaker was involved, and maybe that speaker speaking at that time was important to your overall rest of your plan. So move to a Zoom meeting. There's nothing a problem with having a Zoom meeting to having a speaker come in and talking to all of your members. This is a great way to kind of keep the momentum of your overall program going. Maybe it's the food drive that was really affected. Maybe you change the drop-off location to a person's home rather than the lodge building. There's a lot of different ways that you can change that particular program to meet whatever is the challenge that you're having to go to a Plan B on. Maybe with the spaghetti dinner, I know a lot of our lodges, at least here in New Hampshire, we can't really do food in the lodge building. So we still want to do a spaghetti dinner or something like it. We can't do the dine-in option. Maybe we do takeout. Everyone is doing takeout these days. So figure out with your team how, if we needed to move to this method, how would we actually do a takeout program for a spaghetti dinner so that people can come by, get all of the necessary materials for their own spaghetti dinner at their house, or maybe have everything in a nice Tupperware that has everything hot and warm so that right when they get home with the food that they can lay that right out for their family and enjoy an evening at home with your spaghetti dinner. Maybe with the food pantries, maybe they're now all of a sudden with COVID not allowing outside volunteers to come in to support their efforts within the food pantry. Well, talk to the food pantry. Maybe there's other ways to volunteer. Maybe you're just unloading it from a truck. You're not physically going into the food pantry. Maybe there's other ways that you can support their volunteer efforts than having to go in. So lots of different ways to kind of think through the options that you have available to you, but always make sure you have a plan B, because that will make everything go so much smoother. And that if you have to go to it, it's easy to plan for. So kind of that final step. You've had the event, you've maybe dealt with a plan B potentially. So now what do you need to do? You really need to debrief with your team. You need to identify what went well. Maybe that speaker was phenomenal, got everybody going, but you know what things we could do better? We could have planned for, maybe you had a great amount of people coming to your spaghetti dinner and you had only thought maybe 50 people were coming, but 100 people decided to show up. So what could we do better? Maybe we sell tickets in advance, or we do things a little bit differently to plan better for a following program. What did we learn? That maybe all of these things together were a phenomenal way to get our members involved, but maybe we didn't promote enough to our community to get enough community involvement. So how can we become more involved in our community overall? And then what do we do next? So maybe we had a fantastic relationship. We really developed a great relationship with the local food pantry. Maybe we continue that on as a regular activity throughout all of our programs from year to year to year. And then most importantly, as part of that follow-up, make sure you're doing thank yous out to your teams. Make sure you're doing your thank yous out to all of the supporters that you had in your communities. And of course, go back to your promotion plan. Make sure that you have pictures in the newspaper of maybe you presenting a check from the spaghetti dinner to the food pantry. Maybe you have pictures of the food drive and all of the food that you collected, all kind of assembled so that people can see what value came out of this overall program. And you can promote that within your community. It's a fabulous way to get out there. So at this time, I don't know if any questions came in. However, some questions did come in. Fantastic. So I want to just kind of go over those bits and pieces, right? And the importance while you continue to ask any questions, certainly in the chat. But developing that purpose is so important. If you don't have a purpose, you won't have a good plan and won't have a good event. Make sure you're planning a lot, really getting down to the fine details, which also includes the promotions that you are going to do, planning for that plan B. But that plan becomes more important than anything else, because if you don't have a great plan supporting your fantastic purpose, the events and everything following that will not work. And then, of course, making sure that you're doing the follow-up and involving everyone that was on your team to really understand what's going great, what's going bad, and use this as an opportunity to encourage other members in your group. You, as maybe a worthy matron, always feels that, maybe you are doing everything. Maybe you feel that you have to lead every project. You don't. You need to make sure that you're developing other leaders in your group through these types of programs, so that there becomes more programs, more activities that keep your chapter vibrant in the community. So one of the questions that came in was, how far in advance is too early or too late to advertise an event? To me, social media seems to make putting events out too early, and they just become part of the social media noise. So one of the questions or one of the topics that we covered is really all of the various different options that you have to promote an event, right? So let's take as an example the just the spaghetti dinner. You are going to want to do at least a month out, right? And that's when you're going to develop those initial flyers, right? Maybe you post them around your lodge that a spaghetti dinner's coming up, so people can start, those that see that can start putting it on their calendar. Maybe you have a chapter bulletin. You need to plan for that, to put that in there. Maybe you get it out to the rest of your Masonic family and all of the various different chapter bulletins there. Maybe you have it as part of extending it beyond just your chapter and your immediate community, but to the surrounding towns as well. So I would do those at minimum a month in advance, right? And those are those initial communications. Then it becomes important to be doing the social media components as well. Because again, not everyone's going to be going down to the lodge room. Maybe not everyone reads their bulletin on a regular basis, but maybe they're seeing the social media posts and it's reminding them and reminding them and reminding them of this activity. So it really kind of becomes, who are you trying to reach, right? So if your chapter and their family members and the community are not big social media, then you're going to have to plan even further in advance to support getting it out, getting your message out to the people that are going to respond. So again, you need to be aware of how people are receiving their news, right? So if most of your members are receiving their news on social media, great. You just have to be doing it a lot and reminding them a lot, because it quickly goes off of people's feeds and they don't see it. But just having it in a printed format, like in a newspaper article or a chapter newsletter, won't be enough either, right? So you really need to be doing all of those things. Unfortunately, with social media, now everyone is looking for instant communication and they're looking fast, but they're also not 100% paying attention. So you need to be going in so many different places, so many different avenues to reach as many people as you can. And so having kind of a promotions coordinator on your event team is going to be very, very helpful. And that all they do is just the promotions, and they can be looking to kind of get some level of analytics on how many people are responding on social media versus are people responding to an email, are people responding to newsletters. You need to have one person that's just kind of just focused on that, so you can make the edits and the changes in time to make sure that your event is successful. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm not sure, but certainly if you want to talk to me a little bit more about it, you can email me here and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. Were there any other questions? Okay, well, so hopefully today this was helpful for you. The video is going to be completely available on our YouTube page here shortly, so you can go back to this, think about it a little bit more. I'm more than happy to talk with you through any of your project plans. Happy to kind of review a planning document that you have, or review a promotions plan that you have, help you on Canva or any of the social media platforms that maybe you're new to or just kind of coming up to speed on. More than happy to do that as well. I'm really here as a resource to support you in your activities within your communities, give you some new ideas, and hopefully today this kind of spurred you on a little bit more as you're going back to your chapters. And again, you know, I know a lot of chapters are not really meeting yet due to COVID concerns in their local communities. There's still ways to engage with your community, with your members through events. Things like what we're doing this weekend online is fantastic. So there's ways to still be engaged in your communities, that, while we're not meeting in person, we can be still doing the work of the order, as we move forward. So if there are no other questions, certainly email me, ask me for support, ask me for any questions you may have. More than happy to kind of go through that with you. And I believe coming up here in about a half hour, so I'll give you some time back in your day, but in about a half hour, you can rejoin. Dennis will be talking a little bit more about what's going to be going on for the rest of the day. And we'll be having lunch. It'll be kind of a free time after that. And then starting back at 1 o'clock Eastern time, going into some more fantastic presenters for your afternoon. So I hope that you're able to really join with us over the course of this weekend, and enjoy the speakers and enjoy the fellowship with all of the other members of the Eastern Star. So thank you all for attending, and I hope to hear from you soon.